Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over Mark Waid's Daredevil, and we pick up with Volume 3. And when it comes to Volume 3, it does contain two separate storylines. The first one does focus on a crossover between Daredevil and Spider-Man once again, except this time we also got the Punisher. Yes, the Punisher is involved in this storyline, and all has to do with the Mega Drive. Now remember, the Mega Drive is this new kind of USB or hard drive that contains a lot of different kinds of information about the top 5 different organizations in Marvel Comics. If anybody is able to get their hands on the Mega Drive, they'll know all different kinds of ways to bring down the top 5 evil organizations in Marvel Comics. And so you have the different 5 organizations trying to fight over it. But right now, only one person has the Mega Drive, and that would be Daredevil. And so getting into the opening pages of today's storyline, we actually do pick up with Spider-Man in the past, but also in the present. The first few pages do jump back and forth. So in the present day, you have Spider-Man fighting against the Hand. But in the past, we see Spider-Man meeting up with Reed Richards. Now, the reason why, because Reed called Peter over because he knows that Peter and Matt are somewhat close to one another. Now, the reason why, because Reed found out that Matt Murdock has the Mega Drive. And let's not forget, the Mega Drive came out of an old Fantastic Four suit. But at the same time, Reed is the only person who knows how to download the information out of the Mega Drive, but to also shut it down. And so with that being said, apparently Matt did come by to see Reed to download some information. Except before Reed was able to shut down the Mega Drive, Matt had disappeared. And that right there concerns Reed a lot, because you are talking about the idea of a Mega Drive that holds so much information but the 5 different organizations in Marvel Comics. And so you're going to have a lot of people come after it and now try to kill Daredevil to get to it. And we also have to remember, at this point in time, the entire world knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. So he's just only putting himself and his loved ones in danger because all these different people are gonna try to come after the Mega Drive. And so it's Reed saying, Peter, you have to find Matt, get the Mega Drive and bring it back here. But on top of that, if you cannot, I'm gonna give you something to use that can just shut down the Mega Drive and end all this nonsense before people actually get hurt. But we then jump over to Matt Murdock, and the reason why, because he's been confronted by the Punisher. Now at this point in time, the Punisher had also taken in a sidekick. You know, I hate saying she's a sidekick, but she kind of is, and her name is Rachel Cole. And technically this was Marvel trying to teasing the idea of having another Punisher out there in the world. Now when it comes to Rachel Cole, the reason why she became the Punisher, because at her wedding, everybody died at her wedding except her, including her groom, her future husband. And so with that happening, it sent her down the same path as Frank Castle to become a new Punisher. And so technically at this point, he is training her to hopefully make her better. Either way, you have the two of them right now coming to Matt Murdock for the actual Mega Drive. And we already know why Frank Castle wants the Mega Drive, because if he does have the Mega Drive, he can use that as a way to kill off the 5 different organizations in Marvel's world. And so it's him saying, why not go ahead and give it to me? Now we already know Matt's gonna say no, because he knows what Frank is trying to do, which is murder people. And that is a huge no-no. Now you also have Matt be confronted by Miss Cole, Rachel Cole. And when he does, he realizes that Frank Castle has taken someone under his wing. But at the same time, Matt thinks that he could possibly change her before she does become a true Punisher person. Either way, that is the moment Matt hears something else coming towards all of them. And so that is when you have Spider-Man appear in the room to tell both Matt Murdock and Frank Castle that they have company, which of course is the Hand. But like I said earlier, with the entire world knowing that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, you have all these different bad guys trying to come after him to get their hands on the actual Mega Drive, like right now. And so you have Matt change into his good old Daredevil outfit, and you have Frank Castle, well, stay Frank Castle, he's the Punisher. The world knows he's the Punisher, he doesn't care. Well, also you have Rachel Cole stepping in as well to help Frank, Spider-Man, and Daredevil fight against the forces of the Hand. But like I said earlier, with Matt Murdock having the Mega Drive, he's going to have all these different bad guys come after him to just get their hands on the Mega Drive, like the Hand is right now, because there is a lot of information about the Hand on that Mega Drive. Either way, you do have our heroes work together to stop the Hand, and the day is saved, or the day is saved for now. But the question is what to do with the Mega Drive, because that's just one group of bad guys. The other groups can come sooner or later. And so after our heroes had dealt with the Hand, the question is now what to do with the Omega Drive. Now when it comes to Matt and Peter Parker, they're more of let's go ahead and destroy it. Now for Frank and Rachel, it's more of no, let's not do that. Instead, let's use the drive as a way to bring down the 5 organizations. Unfortunately, Matt and Peter overrule, and they said no, we are going to destroy this. Now you have Frank also agree, you know what, fine, I'll help you do it. But you have Matt say, I got a better idea. Why not go ahead and call a big meeting with all 5 different groups, have them all come into one big room so that they can watch me go ahead and destroy the actual hard drive. Once they see that, that should end all game wars across the board. But at the same time, they should leave me alone as well. And so you have Matt, Peter, Frank, and Rachel agree to do this actual game plan. And Spider-Man does have something that was given to him by Reed to kind of help him destroy the actual hard drive. But for this plan to actually work, they have to go to each group and give them their own personal invitation for this actual meeting. And so you have our heroes agree one more time, and they go their separate ways to begin their big plan. And so as we jump into the second chapter for today's storyline, we do pick up with the Punishers getting ready for this big mission. Because of course, these two guys are killers, but they did promise both Peter Parker and Matt Murdock that they would not kill anybody at all. And so they must grab different kind of weapons that won't kill people, different kind of ammo that won't kill people. But while you have the two Punishers doing that, you also have Spider-Man and Daredevil just swinging around town waiting for the Punishers to be ready for the big night. Now, while you have our two heroes waiting, you have Peter Parker expressing how he feels about the idea of working with the Punisher, because the Punisher is a killer, and for Peter Parker, it's never okay to work with the killer. Now, for Matt Murdock, him and the Punisher, they've been somewhat close for many years in Marvel Comics. And so for Matt, it's kind of like, yeah, he is a killer, but I do know one thing about Frank. If I tell Frank, do not kill, most of the time he won't do it. And so it's Matt showing Frank that, hey, I still trust you ever since day one. But for Peter Parker, it's more of no, he's a killer, and a killer has to be stopped and cannot be trusted at all. Either way, while you have the two guys expressing how they feel about the idea of working with the Punisher, you also have Matt Murdock deliver a baby. Yeah, you heard that right. He does deliver a baby in the middle of traffic, but hey, that's a good job. But once that is done, you do have our heroes go meet up with the Punisher and his new sidekick, Rachel, also a Punisher. And so once you have everybody ready to go, the next part of the plan is to go find the 5 different hideouts that belong to the 5 different organizations to invite them to one big meeting together to just watch Matt Murdock get rid of the actual hard drive. With that being said though, when it comes to the Punisher, what he wants to do is break up into 2 groups. Now he says him and Daredevil should go together, and then Spider-Man and Rachel should go together. Except you have Peter say, say, no, that is not okay at all, because Peter still believes that Frank cannot be trusted at all, meaning that he feels like Frank might take a shot at Matt Murdock to just get the Omega Drive and then dip out. And so Peter says, no, you're with me, and Rachel, can go with Matt Murdock. And Frank says, fine, whatever, let's just go ahead and get on with this mission. And so you do have our heroes go out of their way to go to the different hideouts to invite the people over for this mission, the different 5 organizations in New York, the 5 big mega crime organizations. Now, at first, it does seem like a very easy job, and the Punisher is following the rules. The Punisher is Frank Castle, but not Rachel Cole, because Rachel Cole still has vengeance in her blood, because she only recently lost her husband, her family at her wedding like a couple months ago. And so she still wants to go around gun blazing. She cannot be like Frank Castle, somebody who's still able to turn off the idea of going around killing people sometimes. And so for her, it's more of, no, we are going to kill some people. And so when it comes to her and Matt Murdock being together, she wants to kill a guy, but Matt says no, murder is wrong. And this is Matt beginning the process of trying to change Rachel's path in becoming a hero, or what she believes is a hero, because he's saying, do not follow Frank Castle's path, because if you do, it's only going to get darker and darker and darker, and sooner or later you're going to realize that you're only alone, and you still had the ability to invite other people in to bring you to the light. But unfortunately, if you keep just going down this path, you're going to be alone and become a murderer just like Frank Castle, a crazy person. And you do not want that. Yes, I understand you lost your husband or your future husband, and also a lot of different family members, and you almost died as well. But at the same time, you cannot become like them. Now, it does seem like he does get through to her because she does let the guy go, but instead, this could lead to more problems down the road. But once our heroes are able to invite all the different 5 organizations in Marvel Comics, it's now time for the big meeting. And so we see everyone go to one particular area. And when they get there, it's now just the waiting game, waiting for the 5 different organizations to arrive for this big meeting. Now, before they do, you also have Spider-Man still expressing that he does not trust Frank Castle at all. And matter of fact, he believes that Frank Castle might try to actually portray both Spider-Man and Daredevil to grab their hands on the Mega Drive. But you have Max say, listen, Frank kept his word so far. 1, he has not killed anybody at all. But 2, he is still trying to help us complete this process. So I still trust him. And so that shows the difference in trust when it comes to Frank Castle, because both heroes have worked and fought alongside the Punisher. But for Matt Murdock, it's more of like, yeah, he's a killer, but at the same time, I still trust him. But for Peter Parker, again, it's more of, no, he is a killer and we cannot trust him. Either way, this leads into the big moment. And so that leads into the moment where you do have all 5 different organizations arrive at this one location to see if they're going to get the Mega Drive or which person is going to get the Mega Drive. Unfortunately, they believe that. But for Matt Murdock, it's more of, no, I am going to get rid of this thing because it's causing a game war between all you guys. But at the same time, you're now trying to come after me to get your hands on this Mega Drive. So what I'm going to do is I am going to completely destroy it. And so he does pull a device that was given to him by Peter Parker, which Peter got from Reed, that should be able to actually destroy the device. Except out of nowhere, he just falls off the beam that he was standing on, and he drops the drive right in front of Rachel Cole. And so we're left to believe that Rachel did something to Matt Murdock to have him fall off the beam into the crowd of different gang members while she is able to grab the Omega Drive and dip out of there. So when we jump into the final chapter for today's storyline, we pick up with Matt Murdock just falling into a crowd of people, crowd of thugs who came here for the Mega Drive. Now, luckily for Matt Murdock, Peter Parker was there to come save him and then take him over to where Frank Castle is at. Now, once they do regroup with Frank Castle, that is when they come to find out that Rachel was the one who ambushed Matt Murdock, But Frank Castle had no idea that Rachel was going to do that. And so you have Frank say, listen, I had no idea that she was going to do that. But I'll tell you right now, she did ambush you, and now she's gone with the Omega Drive. And so now we have to work together to hopefully find her and get that drive back. Because right now, she's basically going my old plan, which was to use the Mega Drive as a way to bring down the 5 gangs all at once. But on top of that, she's doing this for revenge, because right now she's only having flashbacks to what happened at her wedding, where everybody was killed off, including her future husband. And this leads into one of my favorite moments of the book. And the reason why I'm saying that, because you do have Matt Murdock be the one to find Rachel. Now, once he does find Rachel, this begins Matt Murdock once again trying to convince her to do the right thing, to not become another Punisher, not become another Frank Castle. Except you didn't have Rachel say, listen, when it comes to all heroes across the board, they all have one thing in common. And what she says ticks off Matt Murdock a lot. Because what she says is that when it comes to all heroes across the board, the only reason why they became heroes because somebody died in their life. And that person's death had technically motivated them to become a hero. And that ticks off Matt Murdock a lot. And he says no. Because he knows a lot of great heroes across the board that became heroes only because they knew it was the right thing to do, to help protect their loved ones, to help protect their city. And so he says, what you just said right there is literally spitting in the face or the image of what a hero stands for. And that is dumb. That is stupid. No, there are folks who became heroes for so many different ways. And here you are right now, trying to give yourself a lame excuse of why you're doing what you're doing. You may believe that you are actually a hero, but in reality, you're not a hero. You're a killer. You're a murderer. And that right there is something you need to understand. And once he says that to her, she realized that he's right. And she begins to give him the Omega Drive. And right when she was about to hand over the Omega Drive to Matt Murdock, well, that was when a bunch of Hydra agents just run into the room and shoot up the place. Now, of course, some of those bullets do hit Rachel, and so we're left to believe that she has been shot and killed. And that takes off Matt Murdock a lot, to the point where he does begin to fight against the Hydra agents. Now, luckily for Matt, you do have Peter and Frank appear to help out Matt to fight against these agents who work for Hydra. But once our heroes have dealt with those agents, when they turn around, they realize that Rachel is gone. She disappeared, but she did leave the Omega Drive for Matt Murdock. But here's the thing, because after our heroes go their separate ways, you didn't have Matt say, I have to find a different way to deal with this Omega Drive problem. And let's not forget that earlier, Peter Parker did have some kind of device that was given to him by Reed Richards earlier that could have helped Matt destroy the actual Omega Drive. Unfortunately, when it came to a device, it got destroyed earlier when Matt fell into the crowd of thugs after being ambushed by Rachel. And so with that idea now gone, Matt has to find a different way. And the question is now, what can he do with the Omega Drive? But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestions could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.